BON.
Some people think we don't have the right to say it's my country. Before they give in, they'd rather fuss and fight than say it's my country. I paid 300 years.
Good morning, happy Sabbath, happy Saturday, and happy 4th of July. This is the Acclivus Hour. I'm your co-host, Bomani Obadelli, Community Engagement Director for Acclivus Inc. My co-host, Katrina Wadi, is out this week. Well, this is a holiday weekend. She's out this weekend, but look forward to seeing her the next 2 or 3 weeks in a row without me. Anyway, brothers and sisters, again, happy 4th of July to all that celebrate. Happy Sabbath to all those that believe, and happy Saturday. You are listening to the Acclivus Hour. Acclivus is a non-for-profit organization that uses a public health approach to addressing community violence through a myriad of programs. We are working in 9 communities across the city of Chicago, as well as in several hospitals, providing victim services and case management to individuals who are brought into hospital situations due to violent acts. We are also working in the south and western suburbs with our flatlining violence program with Peacekeepers Initiative. Acclivus Inc. is led by someone with lived experience and certainly the scholarship, who's also celebrating 20 years in this work, Levon Stone Sr., our CEO. For more information about Acclivus Inc., you can go to our website at www.acclivusinc.org, www.acclivusinc.org, or you can call us on our line at 312-766-7145. That's 312-766-7145. I'm sure in about an hour, Bianca, I hate to do this to her, will be up taking your calls even on the weekends. Our staff, entire staff, is working this weekend along with several CVI organizations across the city of Chicago, doing our best to tamper and to make this a really safe and peaceful holiday weekend. Though without some levels of incidents, I would be remiss if we didn't talk about it. As always, we want to acknowledge and lift up all families of individuals who have been dealt with and are facing the heartbreaking experience of having to deal with the aftereffects of a loved one being shot or a violent act being committed against them. So our heartfelt condolences goes out to those folks over in the Auburn Gresham communities this week. Earlier this week, we had a mass shooting that resulted in 2 deaths, 4 people shot. And of course, last night you had 2 police officers in the city of Chicago who were injured. Both of them were shot, even by the victim. The alleged perpetrator was also injured. So our thoughts and prayers are with the Chicago Police Department, the entire Chicago Police Department at this time. And I would be remiss if we didn't talk about the abrupt retirement, I would say, of Police Superintendent Neri Snelling, who's a generational leader, someone who we 3 years ago, through the process, attending all of the community police accountability meetings as they were identifying 3 candidates to submit to the mayor for a selection. The vast majority of us, including our CEO, supported Police Superintendent Larry Snelling. Based upon sitting in those forums, I do truly believe that he was the right man for the job then and now. I thought personally, my opinion was that I would have supported Angel Navales. I think I came on this radio station and said that, being a constitutional police officer, I thought that's what was needed at the time, just from my perspective. But overwhelmingly, every community that I went into, from community folks to the rank and file police officers that I know and talk to day in and day out, they thought that Superintendent Snelling, with his years of experience and his relationships in the community, should actually been the superintendent. And I don't think he's done being police. And let me make that very clear. He is police, but he also understood the difference, and he had a great deal of respect for community folks. And I truly believe that the CVI, that's community violence interrupters and interventionists, and in this space had certainly had a greater working relationship and professional understanding with law enforcement because of the being embraced by Superintendent Snelling. And I think that the Police Accountability Board is going to do a great job in the next search. I'm also grateful that the mayor named again Fred Waller, somebody who I have known for 30 years. Go way back to when he was a police officer working in public housing, and I was an organizer, and then I became someone who began to protest the just blatant murders of Black people by the Chicago Police Department. There was a time that was happening in this city more often than not. That didn't negate that we still had, interpersonal violence that was taking place in this community. And that's part of our conversation today, brothers and sisters. I want to talk about why there should be a need for an Office of Gun Violence Prevention. That is really the topic. America, as we celebrate 250 years of America, but America has a violence problem. The country has been violent, point blank. And that level of violence has been taken out on Black people. That doesn't make me not love this country any less. My ancestors, my personal family members, and like some of you who are listening to this radio station have had members of your family give their lives fighting in wars for this country. We can talk about the civil wars. We can talk about, wars within, I like to say domestic wars that have taken place in our community. Those freedom fighters who fought for Black people, though we were American citizens, were not treated as such. And so there are people who lost their lives for us to have these liberties, and many of the liberties that we enjoy today as a part of this country. And so I'm not going to deny that, we are a part of the moral fabric of this country. And in fact, if it was not for the Sabbath day, I probably would be somewhere out with a grill going and cooking and taking part in some levels of the festivities as well. Good morning, Brother Walt. Katrina is off today. This is a holiday, and she's taking that day off. And you'll see her next week. I hope that you went on the West Side. We are part of a Play Street initiative, Brother Walt. I think you're a West Sider, and Katrina spends a lot of time with that activity. She's our, public information officer here at Acclivus Inc. She's off this week. She will be back with you next week, for I will be vacationing, and the week after. And so you'll get to talk to Katrina. But 773-591-1690 is how you can engage in conversations with me this morning. And like and share the broadcast, please. Like and share the Facebook broadcast. We are on Facebook Live under the WVON moniker this morning. Please like and share it. We're talking about the need for an Office of Gun Violence Prevention and why we support it, and I think why you should too. I listened to, I'll just give another comment. I listened to lying Ray Lopez, an alderman, and yet I'm calling him a liar because he just blatantly lied last Sunday morning about the Office of Community Public Safety and the results. He lied about, saying that the mayor sent money back to the federal government that could have been used for violence prevention. The mayor didn't send anything back. The agency head, the commissioner of public health, sent the money back ill-advised without taking any direction from the mayor's office. And so therefore she was summarily dismissed, and she should have been. In fact, I contend that the mayor should have never hired her. And there are a few other people that need to go that he hired from out of state who don't understand the culture of this city and how important it is to our communities that when there's federal dollars or resources on the table that can help strengthen and change the trajectory and the conditions of people in our community, how those dollars should be adequately used to do so. I think that was part of my biggest fight with even then the former mayor, Lori Lightfoot, for the same reason, the mismanagement of COVID dollars. There were no, in my opinion, and that's the opinion of many other people, and you saw the results of that. Listen, COVID, and I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. I would just say this: the COVID had a much more devastating effect on the Black community, like every other disease or infectious disease does. And so when those dollars came into the community, where there were loss of wage, for emergency housing, for rent, to help pay for victim services and violence prevention, those dollars should have been spent adequately. And so I heard the alderman say that the mayor could have used those funds. I think that was his intention. That commissioner and some of her underlings decided that they wanted to do something else with it, or just not even put out a notice of funding opportunity on RFP for community groups who are working on health disparities in our communities to be able to apply. She just sent the money back without any direction from the mayor's office. And so therefore, again, I'm going to say the mayor dismissed her, and she should have been dismissed, quite frankly. And that's all I would say about that. However, the point of this, and then I'm going to get to the calls because I see you guys are lining up, the conversation this morning about an Office of Gun Violence Prevention and why there's a need. For the same reason we have the Office of Emergency Management. In 1995, as those of you who can remember that dreadful year, we had over 950 deaths due to heat-related deaths. And there is seen to be that the emergency services with police, fire, and others was not adequately coordinated. There were some of us out getting fans donated. We were taking fans to senior homes who had lost heat and power. I was an organizer along the State Street Corridor and Robert Taylor, and I will tell you this, brothers and sisters, we were in a dual effect. We were losing elderly people and people to heat strokes, but violence was at its highest. It was. And that year, we also had close to 730 murders across the city of Chicago in mostly Black communities. And so therefore, but the mayor decided that he was going to create an Office of Emergency Management Services to coordinate services to specifically deal with heat-related or national disasters and things of that nature so that we would never get caught again in this space, but never really addressing the root causes of violence. Instead, they hired more police. And as you know, in 95, 96, we also had to deal with, right after that, the aftermath of the murders of LaTanya Haggerty and Robert Russ. Two lawsuits that cost this city millions of taxpayers, millions and millions of dollars. And then there were other police-related shootings. I can go on, so many of them that we were involved in and protesting. And there were men being so-called taking police officers' guns while they were being questioned and shooting themselves while they were being interviewed. So we fought for policy changes. And in so much, we got videotaping of confessions, right? Those were some wins that came out of it. So we didn't just protest and trust me, it was very difficult at that time. And then you had the mayor and the superintendent come up with this ridiculous video that some of our people were complicit in, creating what to do when you get stopped by the police, instead of, again, dealing with the issue. Black people being over-policed and then murdered. So we had this internal, external problem. Again, I can go on infinitum, but the time will not allow me to talk about what happened in those days. I'm only saying that the Office of Emergency Management came out of that crisis. And I can tell you there has been no bigger crisis in the Black community than gun violence nationally and locally. And other states have such said offices similar. Chicago needs one. And simply, this is not saying, we're going to take money from the police and make this office or put up. Listen, right now, currently, the city of Chicago on victim services and violence prevention spends somewhere around $60 to $75 million a year currently anyway. Moving this office and having those resources streamlined having a board, a commission, and a person or persons responsible for coordinating services around gun violence and victim services is necessary. And it's as simple as moving those staff out of CDPH. I mean, the state of Illinois has an Office of Gun Violence Prevention over at the Illinois Department of Human Services, who is one of our sponsors, along with the Illinois Criminal Justice Information Authority. I guess I should be doing that talk. I went into having this conversation without mentioning this show is brought to you by the Illinois Criminal Justice Information Authority, better known as ICJA, and the Illinois Department of Human Services Office of Gun Violence Prevention that sits within that office, the Michael Reese Health Trust Foundation, and also the City of Chicago Department of Human Services, which is where all of the Department of Public Health, which is where the gun violence prevention resources are right now currently for the city of Chicago. And then you have some over at Family and Health Support Services as well. Streamlining and coordinating those services and bringing them all into one house would benefit, in my opinion, this state and this city. Coordinating the services, having one department head be responsible for addressing and coordinating violence prevention and victim service efforts is necessary. It's actually overdue. This office should have been created under Richard Daley. It should have been created under Rahm Emanuel, and Lori Lightfoot could have created the office. The advocates were certainly asking. So shout out to Leah Free, Reverend Sierra, Bates Chamberlain, and all of their cohorts or organizers who have fought and organized for this day to come, where we've had a mayor now, and Mayor Brandon Johnson, by executive order, creating this office. And I'm hoping that the city council will follow suit with an ordinance and supporting it to make it a functioning standalone office in the next budgetary season, which is coming up. I wholeheartedly support it, think it's necessary. But again, what say you? And we all have a responsibility, even in this weekend where we have the levels of violence that takes place. It is not just on law enforcement. It is on community. It is on all of us. And again, kudos and my prayers and thoughts to all of those men and women who work in the CVI space, who are sacrificing their weekends away from their families this weekend to be out on the street, to be in hot spots, to try to engage with individuals so that we don't have a deadly and violent weekend. And so far, so good. We will take the small wins where we can. So we're grateful and thankful to all the men and women who have sacrificed in their time, along with law enforcement that's out there working and engaging with people at high levels, high-risk individuals, to talk them down, those who are engaging in high-level mediations to tamper down the level of violence that we've seen. And again, those efforts are being coordinated now through the Office of Community and Public Safety, which again coordinates all issues around safety. That's police, fire, OMC. Again, the office needs, the mayor, the city, like the state, needs a division that focuses on gun violence prevention. And this city is too big to not have one. This city has seen too much violence, gun violence and gun murders, to not have an office that solely puts forth an effort to address gun violence and victim services. I'm going to reiterate. Well, the lines are full, and I'm going to get off my soapbox, and I'm going to go to Brother Cliff, who's in Connecticut. Cliff, what say you? Good morning, sir.
Hey, Grand Rising, Brother Obadeli. Listen, I agree. You made some good points. And also you had another host, Brother Rufus, and apparently he met with Pritzker, Governor Pritzker, about the program. And one of the key things in which I'm concerned that he brought up in his promo and his advertising with the meeting is, where are the illegal guns coming from? And this is both under Democrat governorship and Republican. On a national basis, we're still having illegal guns being filled in the Black community. And not only that, Brother Obadeli, but bullets and ammunition. So something's going on here.
Well, they're coming up. Well, we've had several things. They come over across the border. My friend, your nemesis, Jim, likes to talk about Indiana. But Indiana has been one of the main leaders of leading illegal guns into the Illinois, just like illegal fireworks and so forth. Indiana is open, and the guns then come up from the South. They go so various places. Listen, I'm not going to even dismiss. We've had soldiers. This is a matter of fact. You can Google it. Even though it was swept under the rug, some folks called it an aberration. I didn't think it was an aberration. I thought it was actually something that was going on at a high level and continue. We've caught soldiers, armed soldiers, selling guns in Inglewood.
And also, over there, I agree. I agree and believe it. Not only that, but how about police officers and firefighters? When you can get a gun wholesale, and I'm not. This is not exaggerating, but this is real truth. If you can buy a gun and cross Indiana and buy 10 guns for $100, let's just use that number, and then go into the black community and then make $10,000. That's better than your full-time job.
Well, Cliff, I don't.
That's what's happening.
Yeah, I don't dismiss that. I think that one of the controversies now that we're dealing with is that there was a gun. And thank you for your call, man. And happy 4th of July to you, sir.
No, happy Juneteenth.
All right. Well, it's the 4th.
I'm not even dealing with.
It's the 4th of July today, Cliff. It's the 4th of July today.
Wait. Just based on that, man, I tell you what. That's the 4th of July. Okay. Not you, but right. America, the 4th of July, because we got these illegal guns, man, filtrated in our black community. Why can't we stop it? Thanks for taking my call, brother.
All right, Brother Cliff, you got a right to feel the way you want to feel. I'm not anti-America, even though, again, this country is done a lot of harm to the black race here. I think we struggle to get through it. This is our country, and we should believe in this country and fight for the change. The struggle continues, and hopefully someday we will get our just due by some form of reparations to take place for us descendants of Africans in this country. I am not anti-America. I've never been anti-America. I don't like the things that have happened to black people in America, and I can say that. And again, if it was not for this being the Sabbath day, I would probably be out celebrating somewhere with someone, putting some lamb chops and a turkey on the grill. Nonetheless, we're going to go to Brother Angel. Good morning, Angel. And let me stop, Angel. Let me pause because I think two things, and I've heard you on other shows. So I don't know that you just become a cynic for the sake of being a cynic, but I've heard you state that this was going to be a terribly violent weekend, and that we needed to bring in the National Guard to hold it off.
I didn't say National Guard. I said it might be a violent weekend, but I hope it's not. So
and you also said that they were going to tear up New York after the Knicks won the championship, and neither has happened thus far.
They had some rioting in New York. They broke some windows. They broke police cars. They had a little bit of rioting, not excessive, but they had some.
All right, Angel. So I'm just saying to you that this so far we have not had the number of shootings that you thought that we would have, and that's just thus far. And I'm not listening. And one too many are too many. So let's just keep moving.
Well, I hope we don't have the killings this weekend. Let's see what happens Monday morning. We'll total it up. I called because I'm going to give the mayor the benefit of the doubt that I'm not one of his supporters, but the $100 million against gun prevention, I think will be a good program. It depends where the money goes and who uses the money and make sure it's going on. Not have a program that's not doing nothing. So I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, because we should, because we have to stop this violence in this city. But I really called you to ask you a question. Did you see what the governor in Minnesota did? Mr. Waltz, did you see what he did this weekend?
No, I did not see what the governor in Minnesota did.
Okay,
what did he do?
Pardoned, let me tell you something real quick. This is the Democrats. He pardoned a man that raped a 10-year-old girl 2 or 3 times. Again, he pardoned a man that raped a 10-year-old girl. How do you do that? I don't understand. And I also heard that in South Africa, they're rioting against illegal immigration. Maybe I'm wrong or right, but I think that's what's going on.
Yeah, and Angel, let me ask this question, because I didn't hear you have this level of outrage when President Trump pardoned the former president of a country that was moving not pounds, but tons of cocaine into this country. In fact, received 40 years for it, and he let him out of jail. And do you not understand that the drug trade is one of the leading factors to much of the internal violence?
You should never.
I didn't hear you call in with that level of outrage, though.
Well,
Angel.
you can't. I can't call in on every issue. But
Okay.
A man that raped a 10-year-old girl. That's a Democratic Party philosophy.
That's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. Oh, it's not, Angel. That is not true.
The mayor in New York, the new guy, he gave $7 million program to these he-she's instead of giving it to the police department.
All right, Angel.
You know what?
Okay.
It is what it is.
Okay.
Good
all
show.
right.
I love your show.
All right. Take care, man. Okay. I'm going to go to Janice. Good morning, Janice. You're on the Acclivus Hour.
Yeah, how you doing? I'd like to see some of the money that they're giving to the violence interrupters be given to organizations like this black man that has something going on, take a gun out of their hand and put a hammer in there. And also what Robert McKay is talking about, opening up these trade schools. Because I saw when the illegals came here, when America wants to do something, they can do it. Now,
well, Janice,
my mother, let me finish this. My mother was a nurse. She hated holidays. She hated them. She said, because all you got is from 6 o'clock until Monday, nothing but shootings and killing. She said, we killing each other every day. And she hated that. She said, we've got to turn these things around. And she saw with us going to school, she said, we play to the lowest common denominator now. We do. Our children are not learning how to read. But we're fighting for money to stop guns. We need to get into these churches and start getting into morals and values. You know what? No matter what they did, the slaves had enough sense. So when one slave was sold, somebody else would take that family. That's where the Play family came in view. And this $100 million show us where every penny was used for good instead of, I'm still trying to find out how many people Elder Ford helped to get into the construction trades when whites don't have to go through the churches. They don't have to go through these special programs. And there are many black men who've never committed a crime. And they can't get into the trades, but they had a certain program for young men who've been to jail. Give everybody the same opportunities. And I want to tell you that I saw a program on TV with Lester Holt, where the prisoners decided in jail to teach the lifers decided to teach the other ones in jail how to read. And another man runs, he's a lifer too. He's running a program to train them to be auto mechanics. And they got a wait list as soon as they get out. They got a job. And another one is taking care of the ones that's dying. Now, why don't we get Push, the Urban League, and all these do-gooders to go to that jail and ask those young men, what went wrong with you? Could you read when you came in here? Were you taught right from wrong? When you see our own leadership stealing from us, what more? We need to turn these things around. We need to make things better for our people. I can remember when I was going to school, they could care less whether we learned or not, but they retired with pensions. But one of the Jewish men I worked with, it was a lady in there who had been teaching for 30 years, and they said they knew she was no good. I said, she's going to get a full pension. He said something to me, I'll take to my grave. Don't worry about the pension she's getting. Give it to her. Think about all the lives these incompetent teachers have destroyed. They won't send their kids there, but they'll send yours.
All right, Janice, do you have anything else you want to add? Thank you for your call.
No, I want to hear what you.
All right, thank you for your call. Listen, Janet, I think two things can be true. And I think that we could support trades programs, and I support programs like Elder Ford and what he's trying to do, and many of our other organizations that are out there that are trying to get young people into employment. And as for folks who wanting funding, you have to apply for it. Nothing is given. So, and speaking of that, I need to make an announcement. There's an open notice of funding opportunity that we have at Acclivus, and you can go on our website and look at it at www.acclvusinc.org. It has been extended. The deadline was to be Monday at 5 p.m. It has been extended to July 22nd. So those of you who still want to apply, you meet the criteria, you go on and look at it, you can apply for those funding. The funding, I believe that we are going to grant out $2.1 million or so. I'm kind of, it's a Chinese wall. For those of you who call me asking me specifics about it, I cannot talk about it because it is a pending notice of funding opportunity. So I can't have any discussions with you outside of encouraging you to apply and follow the criteria. It lays out, it's very simple and plain, but I encourage all of you out there who are doing similar work. And then I encourage you also, those of you who are new organizations, to also go on to the Illinois Criminal Justice Information Authority. You can go to icija.com or .org and click on their capacity building. They are offering free capacity building and support services for individuals who are looking to apply for government funding. So I think, and I encourage you guys to do that. If you're doing the work in the community, you should apply for the funding. And, Janice, I agree with you, and I disagree with some points that you make. I think what happens to a lot of our people, we come very, as we age and mature, I think there's a segment of us to become very conservative and also judgmental without ever looking at the facts. And I was having this discussion with a brother the other day in the gym. There are no poor white communities. There are no poor white communities in the city of Chicago, and for that matter, the state of Illinois. But I can point to you an overwhelming number of poor Black communities. And where there's poverty, there is crime. And if we took Bridgeport and put it in Inglewood and the races were reversed, the outcomes would be different as well. They have built many of these communities have built themselves up by going into the government workforce and from the city of Chicago. There used to be this moniker, Chicago, the city that works. Yeah, if you were a certain race, Angel, and you know what I'm talking about because you were there back in the daily era of patronage and bid and test rigging, so that people, non-Black folks, would get those good government jobs that led to them buying homes in their communities and building generational wealth. All of these contracts for the same duplicitous work. You guys don't talk about that. These 10 and 15-year contracts that are given for fixing sidewalks and replacing pipes. So I can go on infinitum about how the Black community has been discriminated against and the lack of investment in these communities. So I'm not going to blame the victims. Now, listen, I'm not condoning negative behavior. I'm not condoning the violence and crime that happens in our community. But brothers and sisters, on this day, we have an internal, external problem that was not a making of our own. So many of our people, we just survived, in spite of. Many of our people are forced into criminality and have been forced into criminality. All right. Mama D, you're on the air. And Brother Wall, you should get your own show. I don't know nobody to do any more jaw-jacking than you with some of the nonsense that you spew. But anyway, Mama D, good morning. You're on.
Good morning, y'all. God rise and happy Sabbath.
Happy Sabbath to you.
Thank you for playing "This Is My Country" by Curtis Mayfield. Descendants of Chatham were born here in 1776, but were not citizens because they had no liberty for another 89 years. Yet, this is the only country that we as indigenous, 1619 came before 1776, Negro American Africans claim the country that our ancestors built with their blood, but don't forget the continent before enslavement. And although NAAs don't want to admit it, we are more Americans than anybody in America. All we know is Easter, Christmas, and the 4th of July, Thanksgiving Day, and these other American holidays. I don't know why we can't face as a people the truth of that reality. What other country do we have? Everybody else got somewhere to go back to. Being stolen from a continent is totally different. Now, my question to you is, we fought in all the wars. We have invested more in the past, and yet we're facing a net worth of zero as a people. Why can't we accept this country that even Trump says Black Americans built this country? Why can't we accept that and act on it?
Because we're not, Mama D, the bottom line is that we are very unorganized. We are a very unorganized group of people. And then the next thing becomes rugged individualism. So there's two things. I'm being unorganized, and then this rugged individualism among our people. We have become so individualistic. And so you hear people like Janice and others, well, I got mine. My mother and father worked and put me to school, so I got mine. I can come on this radio station and say I got mine too, and I got it out the mud and have been quite successful. And I've raised 5 adulting, decent children who several of them I think are going to contribute great things back to this country and this city. But it doesn't stop. I want it for everyone's children. I want it for all Black children. I want for other Black people what I want for myself. That's how I wake up every morning. It's not about me. I don't come into this space about my individual gains and my own. I give back. I'm just saying to me, I'm saying to you, Mama D, this morning, and to all the WVON listeners, it becomes very frustrating at some levels because of the lack of organizing and the lack of unity that exists within our community, right? And so then people become very frustrated and jaded. We have this battle, and quite frankly, and I may be complicit in some of it, of the older Blacks against younger Black folks, right? And I try to mentor other young Black people and bring them along, unlike what happened to me coming up in this space as an organizer.
You hit the nail on the head. If you want to safeguard your good child, do something for that child that is not so good.
All right.
That's what you got to do. That's what a village is about. We just can't have this, like you said, individually, I got mine. Well, that's good for you. And that's what teachers need to learn to do. When the child knows the answer, they got their hands all up in the air and they're feeling good about themselves, and the teacher calls on that child. But what they need to say is, that's good. Put your hand out. I'm here to teach the ones that don't know. Let the ones that don't know feel good about raising their hands and saying, I didn't get it. I don't know. That's what we need to understand. You got to take care of the leastest ones if you want to take care of your precious one.
Mama D, as someone who's out in the community, do you support the efforts of this mayor to want to coordinate services around gun violence prevention?
In some things I do. I think he just did LGBTQ agency for them. What is the agency for us, the ones that's facing a net worth of zero?
I agree. So, Mama D, and I can work with all allies around an office of marginalized citizens, right? There has been no one who's been more marginalized than Black people, and specifically Black men and Black youth. And this is not a division with Black women, but I'm just saying the facts. We can go to all the data points about how Black men and Black young people are the most unemployed people, had been prior to Trump crossing out DEI, right? And so there should be an office of marginalized citizens. I agree with you, Mama D. Unfortunately, Black people, unfortunately, I say this, 70% of us rely on government to survive, whether it's direct wages, contracts, goods, and services, right? That pendulum has not changed. And the fact remains that you're not going to become a millionaire of being a non-for-profit leader unless you steal.
And if you made it so, marginalized, everybody and anybody would be in on.
No, that's stuff. What Mama D. The data doesn't. The data doesn't show that everybody is marginalized, or have been marginalized, or had been from a marginal.
We don't need that word. We need specific for us.
All right.
NAAs. This is for Indigenous Negro American African Agency, not marginalized, not any other name, but name it. You're saying LGBTQ, you're naming them. You're not saying they were one of the marginalized groups. I think this is what we make the mistake all the time.
Well, you're naming them. You're naming their status. You're naming their status.
And we won't claim that because we want to be like everybody else, and we're not.
I'm not saying be like everybody else. All right, well, Mama D, let's fight for an office of Black American citizens or African Americans or Negro Americans. You see what I mean? You can see when we start going down that rabbit hole, what we can listen. LGBTQ is a moniker for a set of people who have a set of proclivities and a lifestyle. And I'm saying again, you Black people have been marginalized in this country, in this city for certain. And again, Al Stone, there are no poor white communities in this city. Out of the 77 communities, none of them are poor. But I can point to you 22 Black community plus Black communities, Al Stone, that are poor, that are below the poverty line. And thank you for your call, Mama D. Jim, good morning. You're on the Acclivus Hour.
Good morning, my good friend. I just sent you some information on gun stats. And also I sent you some information on Trump's pardoning of Juan Hernandez from Honduras. The gun stats, basically, this is based on data from ATF and things. It said the recovery, most of the guns came from Illinois, 51%, Indiana had 16%, and other places had like Missouri, 5%, et cetera. So you can read that and kind of get some information. And also Trump was talking about the pardoning of Juan Orlando because he basically said it was a Biden setup. And he said that's kind of what happened to him. As you know,
it was a Biden setup. It was a Biden setup, Jim. Oh, God.
I sent you the information. You can read it for yourself, man.
Got it. Jim, you send me a lot of information, and just because it was printed doesn't mean it's true. And some of it is skewed data. So let me ask you a question. Wait. But you're the same person who believed those people who attacked the Capitol, those J6ers, were also unfairly prosecuted. You came with that same.
Well, how about Cash Kelly, my friend? Talk to Cash Kelly. That's what happened to him.
Jim,
he's a brother.
It doesn't matter. Kelly. It doesn't matter what color he is.
It does.
No, it doesn't. No, not to me. It doesn't.
How about the other end of the Capitol where the police opened the door?
Jim, I'm going to say this to you again, man. Those people were criminals. They attacked the United States of America Capitol. There were people who lost their lives because of their actions, and they went there to try to thwart democracy. Listen. And thought in a free and fair election process that took place. It was wrong, Jim. That's the bottom line. It was wrong. And I didn't cut you off, man, but it was wrong. All right. Brother Chris, good morning.
What's up, Brother Obadeli?
How are you?
Shout out to the WVOM family. Happy 4th. Rest in power. Mother Khadijah Farrakhan.
Yes.
And what Brother Angel was talking about is straight up hogwash. I didn't hear any issues with, I know Trump always say America first. It's Trump first. This fool that made over $2 billion while he been in office, him and his children. I didn't hear Angel say nothing about $1 billion ballroom. Jim is wrong about the indictment.
How about a $500 million no bid contract? I mean, $500 million no bid contract that goes to the favorite donors to Donald. I mean, listen, man, the level of grifting that is taking place by, the person who occupies the White House, our president. I would just say our president, because he's been elected by the people in this country. But I've never seen it. I used to think Reagan was the worst president that we had. I used to believe that for a very long time. Brother Chris, until now. I mean, and what he's allowing to get away with. However, again, I'm grateful that we appealed, and I'm gonna let you finish, Brother Chris. We appealed to the moral conscience of men and women, and that this Supreme Court has slowed him down some. But elections have results. They've slowed him down some.
Not much, because they hand dirty too. Alito taking money, Clarence Thomas taking money from Harlan Crow, the billionaire donor, and having cases before the Supreme Court. No, man, they dirty. And then Angel want to say that Tim Walz pardoned child molesters. Trump pardoned what's that? Andrew Paul Johnson, and he pardoned probably 10 more other sexual related people that got a pardon. So we can't have it.
And I think most
ways.
egregious is the suppression of these Epstein files, because we have no idea who's in those files with children being molested and raped.
And I respect, Mama D, what she talking about, but she said, and Trump said, black people built this country. Okay, how come nothing's being done to, solidify that? And how come all the erasure of black culture in this administration, brother? Why is that?
So, Brother Chris, I had a question for you. What's your opinion on the Office of Gun Violence Prevention that the mayor is proposing?
I think we got to have all hands on deck, and if that is going to save one life, I'm with it. Also, Brother Obadeli, we still don't have no information on Officer Terry, who was one of the officers that shot that dude from Indiana in that funeral procession. He had 117 unregistered guns in the crib. He's CPD. And the retired CPD officer in Crystal Lake who murdered his wife, they found 150 guns unregistered in the crib.
Yeah.
So what's going on with that?
I think those are poignant questions that need to be answered, right? I think the same thing, again, with one of these gun buybacks, where you had these two Inglewood cops. One of the officer that's deceased now was a part of this investigation where a sitting judge, went and turned in his gun at a gun turn-in, and the gun ended up back on the street and was in a part of a mass shooting that took place in Auburn Gresham, of all places, right? So the same where these two officers, one is deceased now, and one is accused of murdering her and got a violent jacket, as long as my arm, or the Dan Ryan, who probably should have not even been on the police force. As far as I'm concerned, but
same could be said about Jason Van Dyke being unleashed on the black community. And Jim is totally wrong about that. The president who Trump pardoned, who dumped 400 plus tons of cocaine and other drugs in the United States. Read the indictment and talk fake cases. We talking about the fake case Trump tried to put on Tisha James up in New York, and she came unscathed. And the Comey case, they going after him at that lawfare, that false prosecution, and the local cases here, Broadview 6, the sister that the ICE shot, the Latino sister, and the brother they killed in Franklin Park. They said he tried to run them over in the video show. He didn't, and the only thing he had was some parking tickets. They tried to say he was a criminal because he was the Latino brother.
Yeah. Hey, brother, thank you for your comments, Brother Chris.
All right, Brother O, have a good Fourth.
Same to you, brother. Same to you and your family. Be safe, man. All right, Brother Michael O'Connor, good morning. You're on the Acclivus Hour.
Hi, good morning. And happy 4th of July.
Happy 4th of July to you too, Michael.
I think that, you know what, I support Brandon Johnson. I support Brandon Johnson because he's the only mayor since Harold Washington who has uttered the words Black empowerment and meant it. I support Brandon Johnson because on the South Side and the West Side, we finally got money to try to help with the disinvestment of the Black community ever since I've been alive. We live in the most racially segregated city in the country. That's not by coincidence. That's by design. And anybody who doesn't know that, I don't understand what they clearly have not been reading the data and the statistics that you talk about. Now, as a black man, an openly black gay man who's been calling on this radio station for almost 40 years. I'm not by myself. And as far as I'm concerned, let me just say this. The LGBTQ Office of Affairs is an office that it Daily actually started. Clarence Woods was the chairman of the Human Rights Committee, and everybody should have human rights. Key word, human. The disinvestment, Antonio Young has worked for the city for almost 30 years. And this is the first year where he is now a director of the LGBTQ community. He's
I used to, when I attended Trinity United Church of Christ, we were in the male chorus together. I recognize
I am very proud of the fact that an African American man is the director now.
Yeah. Well, hey, listen, Brother Michael, you got to call me a little earlier, man. Maybe I held you on too long. I want to try to get in, Brother Randy. I only have 3 minutes left. I appreciate you, man, and thank you.
Wait a minute. Ray Lopez, we need to target him. All these Negroes who sit around who talk about how to empower the black community, we need to get rid of Ray Lopez. Yeah. Part of his award is in Inglewood. Now's the time for people to organize like you were talking.
Well, you have to remember where he came from. He took out a black alderman. I mean, he took out Ted Thomas after he came in, and Ted Thomas embraced him. I know Ray Lopez when he came down in the basement when we had the task force for black political employees. He was a flight attendant, and his anyway. So I know who Ray Lopez is, and he's gone quite conservative. But
January 6th, we saw on TV. I don't know what Jim is talking about.
I'm clear, but Brother Mike, I got to run. I want to squeeze in Brother Randy, and I got some housekeeping things I need to get out before we end the show. Good morning, Brother Randy.
Yes, good morning. I appreciate you, and I appreciate Brother Mike as well as Chris, as well as the other Cliff that called in and everything like that. And you're absolutely right about Angel and Jim. They put all false information, ridiculous information. I'm gonna be real quick. One. There's a study called Partners in Needs that talks about the different poor communities in the city of Chicago. You get from the Woodstock Institute. It's called Partners in Need study, right? And then another one's called, the book is called When Affirmative Action Was White by Iris Cass Nelson that talks about the GI Bill and the Homestead Act and everything to benefit the white community, so to help the white community, as and other programs, covenants and stuff. Which Covenant 2, and the last thing is this book called How to Kill a City by P. Moskowitz that talks about how they destroyed the city and stuff, about how they had decimated the black community and stuff, and how you can rebuild the community. And so, and I agree with Mayor Brandon Johnson. I'm with him 100%. That's a step in the right direction on the gun policy, the gun program that he's putting together. I support it. Because I think he's trying to do the correct thing, the right thing. So with that said, I won't keep any further. I appreciate you. Keep up the excellent work. And I'm going to be checking out Frederick Douglass, his speech, what is the 4th of July mean to the Negro, and also Richard Pryor's Bicentennial Negro. Keep up the good work.
My brother Randy, man, great to you, man. Thank you for calling. Listen, brothers and sisters, that has been the time. I just want to remind you as the music is playing, I got to get out of here, that the notice of funding opportunity for Acclivus Inc. that was due tomorrow has been extended to the 22nd. So you have a few more weeks if you want to apply for funding. You can go to www.acclivusinc.org and click on the notice of funding opportunity and apply. I encourage you all to apply. 312-766-7145 is a way to reach us offline. 312-766-7145. Again, brothers and sisters, I'm wishing you all a very safe and peaceful 4th of July weekend. And on behalf of LaVon Stone Sr., our CEO, and our entire board of directors, I wish you peace and great things. I'll see you in about 3 weeks. I'm out of here.
Many have died in protecting my